Hello everyone. In this video, we'll cover the basics of textures used in mod creation. Textures are images that add color and material properties to a model. They are used in all types of mod, from character clothing to furniture and decorative objects. In this video, we'll cover the following topics: which textures you need to prepare for each type of mod, an overview of texture types such as color textures, normal textures, and packed textures, how to apply your textures in the ModKit, and how to use RGB recolor system in Material. Let's go through each topic step by step. Before creating your textures, you'll first need to determine what type of mod you're making, since required textures vary depending on the mod type. You can find the texture requirements in the ModKit documentation. Open the documentation and navigate to ModKit Project. For Create a ZOI mode, refer to CAS section to check the required texture formats and compression settings. For Build modes, refer to Build section for appropriate texture requirements and settings. In most cases, you'll work with three types of textures: a base color texture, a normal texture, and a packed texture, typically ARM or OMR. Each of these textures serve a different purpose. Let's start with the base color texture. This texture defines the model's base color and surface patterns. You can create it using your preferred software such as Substance 3D Painter or Adobe Photoshop. When creating a base color texture, it's recommended to avoid painting baked-in shadows or lighting effects. Instead, focus on representing the material's natural color. Since a physically based rendering workflow calculates lighting in the game engine, using a clean base color texture will produce more natural and realistic results. Next, let's talk about the normal texture. A normal texture adds the appearance of surface detail without changing the actual shape of the model. Instead of modifying the geometry, it changes the way light interacts with the surface to create the illusion of bumps and grooves. For example, details such as clothing wrinkles, brick walls, or wood grain will require a much higher polygon count if they are modeled directly. By using a normal texture, you can create the appearance of these fine details without adding extra geometry. This allows you to achieve a more realistic look while maintaining a good performance. Unlike a typical color texture, a normal texture usually appears as a purple or bluish image. That's because it doesn't store color information. Instead, it stores the direction of surface, allowing the game engine to calculate lighting as the model had an additional detail. Next is the packed texture. The packed texture stores material properties such as ambient occlusion, roughness, metallic, or opacity depending on the texture format. In this tutorial, I will use OMR texture as an example. The OMR texture is a packed texture that combines ambient occlusion, metallic, and roughness into a single image. Ambient occlusion defines areas where light is naturally blocked, such as creases, corners, and tight spaces. Metallic determines whether a material behaves like metal. Use higher values for metallic surfaces and lower values for non-metallic materials such as wood, fabric, or plastic. Roughness controls how smooth or rough a surface appears. Lower values produce a smoother surface with stronger reflections, while higher values create a rougher surface that scatters light more diffusely. Instead of storing each property in a separate texture, these grayscale maps are packed into red, green, and blue channels of a single texture. This reduces memory usage, simplifies texture management, and improves rendering performance by reducing the number of texture samples the engine needs to read. Here's how to create a packed texture. In this example, we'll combine separate ambient occlusion, metallic, and roughness texture into a single OMR texture. First, create a new document in Adobe Photoshop. Set the document resolution to match the resolution of your source textures. Next, open ambient occlusion texture. Select the entire image and copy it. Go to Channels panel, select Red Channel and paste the image. Then copy the metallic texture and paste it into the green channel. Finally, copy the roughness texture and paste it into the blue channel. When you switch back to the RGB view, you'll see that the OMR texture has been created. The texture may look unusual, but that's completely normal. Unlike a base color texture, an OMR texture isn't intended to display color. Instead, each color channel stores a different type of material data. When packing textures, be sure to keep the channel order correct. If the channels are assigned incorrectly, the material won't render as intended. If you need to create an ARM texture instead, use the following channel order: red for ambient occlusion, green for roughness, and blue for metallic. Finally, use the appropriate file name suffix, such as underbar ARM or underbar OMR, to clearly identify the texture type and avoid confusion. There are a few things to keep in mind when applying textures into the ModKit. After importing your textures, the ModKit will usually configure the texture compression settings and colors automatically based on the texture type. In general, base color textures should have sRGB enabled because they store color information. On the other hand, data textures such as normal, OMR, and ARM textures should have sRGB disabled. Although these settings are typically assigned automatically during the import, it's always a good idea to verify them, especially if you have modified a texture or imported it manually. Making sure these settings are correct will help ensure your textures render properly in-game. Finally, let's take a look at how to adjust texture parameters in the ModKit material. For this demonstration, I've created a build mod project using 3D Printer 01. Click MI Prop to create a material instance, then import your textures. Instead of editing textures in a DCC application, you can make many adjustments directly in the material instance. Double-click the material instance to open its property. Under the albedo section, you can desaturate the base color texture, shift its hue, or tint it by multiplying it with a different color. To adjust the surface roughness, first enable Roughness Remap under Switches. Then open the Parameters section and adjust roughness minimum and roughness maximum values to achieve the desired result. The material instance also provides many other adjustable properties. Feel free to experiment with available parameters to achieve the look you're aiming for without modifying the original texture.